Hello there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and a new card making video, and it's another shaker. I've been on a shaker roll, but for today's card, I'm not using a window sheet to make my shaker. I'm very excited about it. Okay, so this is the Bee Hive mini album die set from Scrap Diva Designs. If you've never shopped there before, oh my word, you should look at that site. I have a discount code, Carrie Stamps, you can use when shopping there. So check out the link, use the code, get some cool dies like this. I die cut out the frame part of the die set and the stitched layering portion. This is a piece of paper I got from My Paper Insider in box number 1. It's a subscription box that you can get with like super awesome, specialty, curated, amazing papers. It is so thin. It's not like vellum. It's more like fabric than anything. I have made fabric shakers before where I've used mesh, and recently in my Facebook group, Shaker Card Addicts, I was reminded about using that by one of the people in our group, and so I had that in my mind, and when I came across this paper, when thumbing through my Paper Insider box, I was like, oh my word, would this make a cool shaker or what? So I die cut it out. It die cut beautifully. I wasn't sure if it would. I glued it to the back of my frame, and now it's going to be the shaker cover, and it looks kind of bee inspired, like a little bit honeycomb-ish. Yeah, okay, let's move back to the card. So here I have a piece of craft foam. I backed the front and the back with some double-sided adhesive sheets. I took out the filler pieces, kept the frame, and I left it in that opening or that piece of foam. I didn't pop it out because then it keeps its shape easier and I can lay my cover piece down onto it much more easily. Yes, I did use a combination of dry adhesive and wet adhesive to hold this down because I like things to be secure. All right, so now let's fill it up with some brand new shaker bits from Trinity Stamps. These are part of their polished confetti collection, and these are kind of a peachy color. I thought it went perfect for this card. Now, the reason why I decided to use orange in my card is because I was recently at the Huckleberry Festival and I tasted this peach infused honey. It was so good. I did buy a bottle. And so I had peach honey on the mind when I was making this card. All right, I added a backer to this, also keeping that whole shape inside that foam, and it went together so easily. So there's the basis of my shaker. Those bits shake around, but not a ton like you would have with a card you used a window sheet for, which I will show you one at the end of this video that I made with the same die set. Okay, now we're putting this onto a shape card. You can turn these mini albums very easily into shape cards, but also I'm obsessed with making mini albums, so I would love to turn this into a mini album as well. All right, so now I have the Be Happy pattern paper, also from the latest release at Scrap Diva, and I love this yellow honeycomb. I want just that little door for my little beehive. And I think this is the Bee Hive. Have I been saying honeycomb this whole time? Bee Hive mini album die set. I hope I haven't been saying the wrong thing. Okay, so I'm just traced that opening. I cut it out with my scissors and then I can glue it into place just like that. So I have like a little special interest right there. All right, so there's my card, and I just used the largest die from this set on a folded in half piece of cardstock to create the card base where the fold is at the top. Now I have this really cute bee die set. I'm going to link all of these things for you below. I've die cut the detailed portion from yellow and from white, the solid portion from black. That's how we're going to create these bees. There's a large and a small in here. I'm going to do one of each. And here you can see them already put together, but you drop in the white wings. And I also wanted you to see the flight trails because I used them on that card and I'm not using them on this one. So you want to cut off the antenna and the little stinger from the yellow layer, glue that to the black layer, and then drop in the white wings. Super easy, quick, and fun to make a bunch of little bees to put on any project. So I love this die set. I love especially that the little flight trails are hearts. because you know I love hearts. Okay, so we've got two of those. There's those flight trails. They just cut into the paper. They don't also cut themselves out. All right, now we have the honeycomb set, which has these adorable flowers in it. Totally using 3 of them on this card because I love them. They're super easy. They look like big fat daisies, and I think they're precious. They're just fun and whimsical and like anybody's flower. If you're not into like die cut flowers, I feel like this is like anybody's flower, right? You could put this on whatever. So then there's also 2 centers, a large and a small. I did a little bit darker yellow, like a golden yellow for the very center of that. Cute. Okay, so I did 3 of those, and then also there is this honeycomb portion in there. I'm going to use that later in my card, but I wanted you to see it die cut out. We also have leaves. I die cut it from some like lighter green cardstock. I did each of the leaves 2 times. We're going to use those as well. Then we have the cute bees. Okay, this is the cutest. We have 3 layers for this as well. White, yellow, and black, depending on what color you want to do your bee. I'm just super into like traditional bee colors and bee things. We have like a shortage of bees in the world right now. And so I feel like making this card, hopefully I'm bringing a little awareness to that. I've really thought about maybe having my own bees. It sounds a little crazy, but I think more people should definitely have some honeybees that are going to help pollinate things, and we need to save the bees. We really do. All right, so now I'm doing some card surgery, paper surgery. This is where you need all the tools, the tweezers, the glue, the paper piercer, the paper picker upper, all of the things to put on the little bee's stripes. There's 3 of them. You want them evenly spaced. You want them straight, somewhat straight. And then he's got the little arms. Those are crucial to this, I feel. Then we have the black eyes. And then do you see over there on the left, teeny tiny miniature little yellow? Yeah, those are going to go on the antenna. Then I like to give my pretty much any creature, snowman, whatever has a face, I want them to have pink rosy cheeks. So I added those, and then it's time for the white gel pen. This is what's going to bring the eyes to life. I like a teeny tiny dot, and then I like a larger dot. I am using a number 5 gel pen, and so that's going to be a pretty fine tip. Then I have a little black liner pen. I'm adding some eyelashes, and then I also use the white gel pen for freckles, and this is like amps up the cuteness factor, adding little white freckles to the cheeks. They're probably shine marks. All right, we also have bee words 1 and 2. I'm going to use be wild on my card, but there's queen bee, be yourself, be beautiful, sweet, honey, and all of them have 3 layers. You've got your outermost stitched layer, you have a shadow layer, and you have the word itself. So that is super fun. I die cut my letters from some black glitter cardstock, which I backed with an adhesive sheet, and then I can just stick those down like stickers. It's amazing. So easy, so fun to do. And then I put that on a yellow shadow layer, and then that is going to be popped up with some foam squares onto that stitched layer, which I happen to cut from some vellum. Now, because this has 3 layers, you can easily turn this into a shaker. I'm going to show you at the end of this video how I did a shaker with them on a different project, but I wanted you to see that. So I'll show you at the end. Okay, now it's time for all the shading and highlighting. So I have my CG3 marker. I think I'm new to Olos. I'm getting used to their colors. And I'm using that for shadow on the bee's wings and on the white flowers. And it just brings it to life. All of these little extras that I'm doing right now are 100% optional. You could make this card without doing this. However, I think that it really brings them to life. I'm using the OR 4.4 to add a little darker shading, little like accents to the center of my flowers. I've got some YG markers I'm using to add to, there's already veins like embossed into these leaves, but just bringing them to life with a marker and kind of blending it out with a lighter one, it really makes a difference. And I love how it looks. All right, so now I'm going to add a little bit of the shadowing with a marker. You can do a lot of this too if you like shading with like a blending brush. You could shade your die cuts that way, but these are just little tiny areas. And so for this, I felt that using an alcohol marker was the thing to do. And a lot of times when you do alcohol markers on colored cardstock, they fade back really light, so it does the trick. So I'm even doing a little shading on this cute bee. The cute bees, they're so, isn't it adorable? It's so cute with the little face. Okay, so we'll do that. And then we also are going to need highlights. So I'm going to do that as well. But I didn't want to leave out my little, I almost said honeycomb, beehive. Beehive here. So I'm using kind of a peachy red color to do the accents on this, and this did dry back a lot, so I am going to go over it a couple times as I go. And then I even did a shadow on the little pattern paper, a little darker, or it's really like a lighter brown color. And then the highlights. So I'm bringing back my white gel pen. Now my favorite white gel pen is actually a 10, a number 10. So I did white gel pen on pretty much everything. It really makes a difference. And now it's time to put these fun pieces onto this out of the ordinary shaker card. How do you feel about this specialty paper for a shaker? I think it's so fun. It's not super shaky, but you can see the little bits in there, and they do move around a little bit, and it's kind of makes me feel like you can't really see into a beehive. It's kind of a mystery what's going on there. And so that's what this paper reminds me of. Like, you can just get a little glimpse into what's happening inside there. And I think the paper is honeycomb-ish, so I like that. All right, for my cute bee, I am bringing in an action wobbler. Now, I don't know if this is the right way or the wrong way, but there's one side of this that's like thick plastic, and the other side's thin plastic. I like to put the thick side onto my image. I feel like maybe it helps it like move more. I'm not sure. But anyways, I then stuck it down to my card, and now I have my little bee that can go zzz, and I just think it's so fun for a bee. All right, now we need to embellish. I have these yellow rhinestones from Trinity Stamps. I'm going to glue some here and there and all over because I like extra. I like to put all of the things on my cards. And these are yellow, but they're also a tiny bit translucent, so they're going to pick up a little bit of the color that's behind them, which is just perfect. It makes them coordinate with your card, even if it's a little bit different yellow. Okay, so now I did not want to leave out the inside of the card. So for the inside of the card, I am doing a little bit of kind of stenciling, but I'm using that die cut piece as the stencil. So I'm bringing in Wild Honey ink and my Shading Sidekick brush. I'm using the magnets that hold this down onto my magnetic glass mat. So this is a glass work surface from Glassboard Studios. I love it. I use it a lot. Well, I use it every time I make a card. So yeah, a lot every day. And I just love the option of using the magnets. It's such a game changer. So I'm holding that down as I'm just lightly dusting on some color, giving this piece that will go on the inside of my card a little bit of something fun. And I love how it turns out. I'm also going to go completely around the edge and add a little bit of shading on that, also with the Wild Honey. And I feel like this is just gorgeous. You could do something like this for the outside of this card even. It's so pretty, so much fun. So then we're going to add a stamp sentiment with the Be Happy stamp set. This is also from the latest release at Scrap Diva Designs. Don't forget, check out the shop, use my code Carrie Stamps at checkout. You'll get 10% off your order. So I have all of that for you in the description box below. There's a link you can click for that. Okay, so there we have it, Just Be You, stamped in black ink. Now, when I put this on, the top of this piece is going to interfere with the fold I created. So I just need to shave a little tiny sliver off the top. like that. And then we can glue this into place and it's going to close perfectly. So we'll glue that down and we'll have a fun inside of the card that brings a little element of what's going on the outside to the inside. And I just love that. I think it's really cool. All right, so then on the back, you can always see that fold at on the back side of a shape card. So I decided I'm going to cover the back too. For the back, I'm going to do an ink blended panel. So I have that wild honey again, and then I'm going to bring in some spice marmalade. Now, I haven't put any ink on this Blending Buddy brush yet because I sometimes like to just use whatever's in the brush first, and there happened to be quite a good amount of yellow ink on this brush, so I just did that. And then I thought, okay, I'll darken up the edges with the wild honey, and it made a really cool blended look. And I really just only used a little bit of the wild honey. So I loved that look. I decided once I do the orange, I'm going to do the same exact thing. So I'm starting out first with the ink that's already in my brush. And that way I'm not contaminating the ink. Like, you can kind of make a new orange color if you had something darker and you brought in something lighter, something more brown with something more yellow. So I like doing this, or even on a separate piece you might use for something else later. You could do that, or if you don't care about, you know, preserving the ink, so to speak, you could do it on a paper towel. But I like to have one brush that's like for all my yellows, one brush that's for all my oranges, and that works out great for me. So there's my honeycomb. And speaking of not wasting the ink, I decided to collect that excess orange ink on there and just splatter the back of this for some visual interest. I love splatter. I love it. If you watch my channel, you already know this and I don't have to tell you because I do it all the time. So I splattered that and then just dried it off. Then I thought I would go ahead and use this piece. I know I stenciled it, but it was still a great color. I just glued it onto the back. And then I'm bringing in the Be Happy ephemera. There's so much ephemera in here. I mean, you could make 100 cards. I don't even know. There's so much. Also, I wanted to point out there is a smaller beehive in this die set. The little beehive in here reminded me of that. I have yet to use it because I just love the big ones so much. So I'm just going through here and pulling out pieces that are like grabbing my attention that might go with this card. And I ended up going with this tiny bee. It seems kind of boring compared to all the fun stuff that's in there, but that just seemed to be the one. So that's what I did. I glued that in place, and then this is going to go on the back, and then you won't be able to see the seam at the top of the card. It just looks finished and polished off and extra special because we've done like every panel of this card. Well, maybe there's one other panel, which is this one right here. I added a little thing. You could add a special message right there, and then also right on the bottom part of the card. So there's my card. There is my, I want to call it like a non-traditional shaker because we didn't use a window sheet like I did on this card. Now this card, I put a different shaker pop bead in every section of this. Also, you can see I used that large cute bee on there. I did decorate the inside with ephemera again, and I did the back side. So you can see I love playing with this die set. I think it's really fun. And the action wobbler, like, it puts that bee over the top of cuteness. Yeah. See the flight trail on the one that says honey? That's a piece of ephemera. Love that. Okay, so here's those bee words as a shaker. So you can use the two outer layering pieces to create a frame. And then you could put the word on top of your shaker. So I think that's really fun. That's the honey jar die set. I made that card already. If you'd like to see a tutorial for that, let me know. I'll make another shape card video for you guys with that. So I hope you're enjoying this like honey theme because I love it. And Scrap Diva had a lot more things come out in the August release. So if you haven't checked it out yet, go check it out. Scrap Diva Designs. And then if you want inspiration, you check out Instagram and use the hashtag Scrap Diva Designs, and you'll see all of the design team samples. The team makes amazing things with these dies, so be sure to check that out on Instagram. I'll have all the fun things linked for you below, and I will see you all again very soon with a new video. Happy stamping! Bye!